So we're going to go ahead and find our sit bones and drop nice and tall. Welcome to today. And bring our shoulders up to your ears and just circle them around. Kind of beginning to open the rib cage, open things up. And moving the neck, moving the head. And kind of creating some space. And then bring the rib cage into it. And make the arm circles a little bigger. And we're just creating some space this morning, and reverse it and let it go the other way. And then as you begin to come into stillness, see if you can get a sense of the movement of the body, of the spine. Even when sitting still, there's a little bit of movement with it. Feel those shoulders drop away from your ears. Go along with your crown and take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Blow it out through your mouth. Again, deep breath in through your nose. And blow it out through your mouth. And then begin to drop in. Notice how your body is connecting with the earth. The sit bones. The bottom sides of your legs. Are they touching the floor? They may not be, mine are not. Just notice it. Notice if you soften through your hips, if that gives a little bit more space for the legs to lower to the floor. And then notice, how do your knees feel bent and easy pose? Just notice. And then traveling on down your lower leg, noticing what's happening in the feet and the ankle. And then reverse it. All while finding your breath. So many things happening at one time. And as you move up your legs, coming into the pelvis, notice what's happening in the hips. Is there any restriction? Is there ease, effortless in sitting? And begin the journey up the spine. Feel that pelvic floor just gently engage. Giving a little bit of a sensation of rolling forward on the sit bone. It's a pretty small motion, maybe a millimeter or two. And drop up through the spine, noticing your lungs. Notice how when you inhale, the belly softens and the ribcage expands. And when you exhale, the belly button travels to the spine and the ribcage comes in. Moving on up, noticing the shoulders, the back of the neck, lengthening long through the crown of the head. Then notice what's happening in the mind. Is the mind moving? Is it busy? Is it still? Just look at what's happening as if you're looking at a television through a store window. You're on the outside. The action is behind the glass. And you're noticing it, yet there's no engagement. And then turn your attention to your breath. Notice where the inhale becomes apparent to you. Is it at the tip of your nose, the back of your throat, the filling of the lungs. Just notice. On the next inhale, just give a little tightening in the back of the throat to create ujjayi breath, an ocean sounding breath. Feeling the rise and fall of your belly. I'm going to grow quiet. I'm still here. Continue to notice your breath as you slow the breath down, evening out the inhale and the exhale. And as you continue to watch your breath, gently begin to listen to the sound of my voice as we begin a little bit of movement. Circling first to the right, going to the left, and coming back around. So this is a circle within the pelvic bowl, counterclockwise, following this nice even breath we've created. So inhaling as you move forward, opening your heart. Exhaling as you move back, drawing in the belly button. So inhaling, opening the heart. Exhaling, drawing in the belly button. Nice, even breath, beginning to deepen the circle. Feeling that lower spine open, beginning to open a little deeper. One more rotation all the way around. It's almost like stirring a pot. And then pausing on the inhale, which is forward with the heart open, and reversing, heading the other direction. Circling around, this time moving clockwise, following the breath. Beginning to feel the body open, creating a little bit of warming. The lungs may begin to clear. Move the energy. Even though it feels like we need to clear our throat and there's nothing there, that's part of the opening of the body. The tissue beginning to open and move. Increasing the size of the circle. One more time around, inhaling through the heart space. Exhaling, coming back Coming right to the center, inhaling, heart open. So right into cow, seated cow. Exhaling back into cat. Arch that back. Inhaling up into cow. Exhaling back into cat. One more time. Inhaling forward. Exhaling back. Beautiful. Coming right into nice and tall. Sitting nice and tall. Reach those hands down to the floor as if your palms are going to touch the floor. Not actually sure mine will today. This is a process of opening up the scalenes, which is the muscles in the neck. Sometimes you'll feel kind of nervy pain down the arms because our muscles are grouping around the nerve endings. So that's okay, nothing wrong with that. Just begin to feel it open as you press down through the palms of the hands. Grow long in the crown and exhale the right ear to the right shoulder. Don't bring the shoulder up, let the ear go to the shoulder. Now really press through that left hand. Can you feel it? Yeah. So nice deep breath in. Exhale, let that nose travel forward. And circle it around and feel the left ear come to the left shoulder without lifting that shoulder. Let that palm go clear to the floor. Pressing down into it. Nice deep breath. Excellent. Inhaling and exhaling, traveling forward. Let that chin really fall to the chest. Grow long into the spine. Pull that belly button into the back. And exhale, slowly lift your head up. Beautiful. We're going to move right into tabletop. So coming off of your blanket, moving it out of the way, building up your tabletop. If you have to lengthen through your legs just to invite the knees to wake up after sitting in easy pose, that's fine. Spread your fingers wide. Elbows come in facing each other. So this is the eye of the elbow. See if you can spin it to face each other. That opens the shoulder blades. Knees underneath the hips, flatten out your back. So this is the first posture. And my body's wanting to wiggle today. If you want to wiggle, wiggle around. Take a nice deep inhale, lengthen through the crown, lengthen through the spine. And inhale, dropping down into cow. Exhaling up into cat. Inhaling down. And find your meditation here. Invite Ujjayi breath in. Beginning to follow your breath. Inhaling into cow, exhaling into cat. Feel those shoulders open. Deepening this however your body will allow you to deepen it. Knowing that I'm still here with you, following your breath. Three more. This will be the last one. Really make it your full expression. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling, growing long, back into tabletop. Eyes are closed. Really check out the internal interior of your body. What's happening? What's moving for you? What's sticking? Just notice. Begin to walk your hands back to your knees, coming back to your knees, walking your hands up, reaching that right hand over and around, coming back, putting the hand on your hip, the back side of your body, inhaling the other hand around. This really opens the heart space. So you have several choices here. Fingers down, fingers up if you need opening through that. And you can even do fingers here if neither one of those are accessible to you. But part of the posture, we're traveling into camel. So work to bring those elbows back. We're going to build into this. This might be your posture right here. So we've come from cat-cow. So we're already hip distance apart of the knees. Elbows are working together. Belly button is engaging. Pelvic floor is drawing up, lifting long through the crown. Take a nice deep breath. This might be it right here. Is there space for you to bring your elbows closer together behind you? And as you do that, feel the heart space begin to open. Ears come back over your shoulders, working through the quads, leaning into it. This might be it right here. This is the first one. And if you're on a hard floor, you might need a blanket under your knees. That's okay. Find your breath. Grow quiet within. On the next inhale, begin to grow long in the crown, coming back up. We're going to slide straight back and forward. Slide your hands down, bring them back in front of you, coming down into child's pose. So that's the first back bend of the day. You want to do it slowly, mindfully, coming into forward fold. So we're warming the body in a different way. Noticing in the body what feels delicious, what feels stressful. A little bit of stress is okay. It helps our body grow. Nice deep inhale, scooping back up, coming back into tabletop. Hands underneath your shoulders, bring those eyes of the elbows together. Take a nice deep inhale through your crown and exhale, look over your right shoulder. As if you're looking for your hip. Inhale back to center, exhale, look over your left shoulder. Notice how the body's moving. Inhaling back to center, exhaling, looking over your right shoulder. Warming the body. Inhaling, exhaling, looking the other direction. One more time, inhaling center, exhaling right. Inhaling center, exhaling left. Coming back into the center, going long in your crown, walk those hands back. This time, inhaling the hands up, all the way around. See if you can deepen this a little bit more as you're reaching back around. Opening that heart space. Bring those elbows together. Feel those quads begin to reach for the front wall. Lengthen on back through the crown. So as you lengthen back through the crown, it's important that you're going long in the crown and not hyperextending your neck. Avoid dropping the head back. That really crunches the spinous processes in the neck. And so you want to grow long in the crown, bringing your ears over your shoulder, breathing into it. If you want to deepen this, you can reach for your heels. I'm not doing that this morning, but you can feel free to do it in your body. Breathing into it. 2 more breaths. Inhaling, drawing straight up. Again, folding down, forward, into forward fold. You can open your knees, but you don't have to. Notice what's different on this forward fold. Is there more space? Is there more restriction awareness? Just notice. Nicely done. Inhaling, sliding yourself forward again. Walking those hands back into tabletop. This time, we're gonna walk straight back up on our knees. I'm gonna spin around so you can see me. And if you want to, it's kind of easier to do this next posture on the long side of your mat. So coming back up as if you're headed to camel, but we're gonna put our hands on our waist. We're gonna lengthen out through our right leg. So I might be opposite of you. Oh, clunking is happening everywhere this morning in my body. Grow long and tall here. So really feel that belly button drop back to your spine. Inhaling the hands up overhead. We're gonna first exhale towards the knee. So you might be opposite of me because we're all going to the right. The reason we're going to the right with this lateral movement is because we want to stimulate the ascending colon. That's on the right side of the body. That's like inviting digestion to happen. Digestion of our food, digestion of our life. You can turn your hand over, slide yourself down. Really begin to feel the opening from your knee all the way up your body. Spinning open through the heart. Breathing, nowhere to go. Nothing to do. What would it feel like to lift your toes? That feel different? Just notice. Exhaling, putting the toes down. Inhaling, coming back up, but we're staying here. We're going to dive to the other side. Now, as you're diving to the other side, make sure as your hand comes down that it comes right underneath your shoulder. So if you find that your hand's a little too far out, come up. Like if you're out here, bring it up, bring it roughly underneath your shoulder. So you laid a long line of energy from your palm facing down, opening up. Now, do you have the space to turn your head and look at that hand up in the sky? This helps open the heart. Breathing into it. Inhaling, turning that palm to face over the top of your head and really reach it all the way up. Long line of energy from the tips of your toes all the way up. So we're still warming the body. What would it feel like to point those toes? As if you're lengthening that leg away from you. And then bring that hand halfway up and lift that leg. Little strength here. Engage that core. If you're wiggling all over the place, it's probably because your pelvic floor is on vacation. Find the strength. At this point, you can look wherever you want. You don't have to look at your hand. You can look down or straight ahead. It's nice to find a point to look at. Focus in on it and lock in on your breath. I'm going to go quiet. We're going to be here for 10 slow breaths. If you need to take a break, set that toe down. No panting, 3 more breaths, we're almost there. So what's gonna happen here first, we're gonna set our toe down. Then we're gonna bring our hand back to the ceiling, spinning it around and dropping it behind us. Open that front body. Open it up. Find the strength in the energy of the support. Less about you working, more about the energetics of being supported. Two more breaths. Last one, lift that arm back up, inhale through those fingertips, draw that leg in, and however you want to breathe. Gracefully would be to lift out of it. That's not happening in this body today. So I'm just going to move forward and come back to center. Inhaling the hands up overhead, dropping that right hand behind you onto your hip, dropping that left hand on behind your hip, coming back into camel. Grow long. I can already feel the difference in my right side to my left side. Grow long, sink back. Let the movement come from the quads. So the quads are the tops of your legs right here. Sinking back, breathing into it. Growing long in the crown. Three more breaths. Engage that core. Inhaling, growing long in the crown. Folding over, sliding those hands down, circling them around, coming back into child's pose. Notice what's different. Every time we come back into child's pose, there's a little bit of a difference. Feel it. Notice it. Take it in its inventory. See if you can sink back a little deeper into your knees. What does that feel like? Honor it if it's not available to you. Inhaling, rising back up, coming back up. Now we're going to move the left leg out. Maybe. Inhaling those hands up overhead. Exhaling, headed towards the left leg. So we always start towards the leg. This is about the internal body. This is about the organs in the body. Spin that heart open, breathe into it. Nowhere to go. Nothing to do. Lateral movement. Yes. Play with that pelvic floor. What does it feel like to invite that into your practice? Inhaling, lifting back tall. Again, we're going to dive over. Hand is going to land on the floor directly underneath our shoulder. Inhaling our arm up overhead, lifting straight up. Point that toe. Really feel it. Grow long in the crown. If you begin to collapse in your neck, then it feels like the shoulders are coming up. In my world, when I collapse in my neck, I get really dizzy. Breathing into it. Finding that long line of energy from fingertip to floor. You can turn and look at your hand if you want. Play with that crown growing long. Spin that hand to facing over the head. I like to look forward in this because I'm going to begin to look for a drishti and reach that hand up over your head. Feel that long line of energy begin to open from the toes. I really feel this through my waist, in my body, under my arm, down through the side of my leg. This is a powerful opener. Breathing into it. Inhaling, lifting that arm up, and if you have the space, lift that leg. Find your breath. This is where we balance. If you begin to wiggle all over the place, draw that pelvic floor up, bring that belly button back. Let the support be from the center of your body. Lock in on your drishti. Four more breaths. You can do it. Inhale, drop that toe down, bring that arm back up, spin that hand around, bring it right behind you. Just so you know, my arm's talking to me. That left arm is working hard today. So, a self-inquiry. What is it that I can let go of today? What is it that no longer serves me, that I've been hanging on to? Spin that heart open. One last time, full expression. Inhaling that hand back up. Exhaling it. We're going to spin all the way around. Coming all the way around. Back onto the mat. Sinking back into child's pose. So you want to be the long way on your mat. And if you're not, go ahead and position yourself so that you are. So that we're going to head into downward facing dog here soon. Taking a break. Play with child's pose a little bit. See what it feels like to sink further back into your knees. I've been really, in my own practice, afraid to sink back into my knees because of my knee injury, and now it's healing. So what does it feel like? Create a new pattern in the body. What if I open my knees? Does that create more space? Just notice, try it. And it may not work. It may work. Inquiry. Breathing into it. Inhaling, beginning to rise back up into tabletop. Always coming back to tabletop as our center today. Knees are hip distance apart. The good thing about checking that your knees are hip distance apart is that puts your feet in position for what's next. Hands are spread wide, creating a nice, solid foundation. Curl the toes under, take a nice deep breath in. Exhaling, lifting that tail up and back. Double check, make sure those feet are where they need to be, hip distance apart, not too close, not too far apart. Knees are soft. We haven't done much with the hamstrings yet. We've really been working the center of the body. So as we're just resting here in dog, soft-legged dog, soften those knees a little bit more. Wiggle through the hips. Begin to inhale, lifting up on your toes, and exhale back into the right heel only. Feel the long line from the heel to the hip. So the sit bones is where the hamstrings attach. And then the hamstrings come down and attach around the knees, and it turns into another set of muscles. But there is still a long line of strength here. And this long line of the back side of your leg is what actually helps to move you through life, but it also, if tight, will create low back pain. Inhaling, softening through that right knee, bringing both knees soft, squat down into it, and then lengthen through the left leg. Whew. Soften down into that heel again. Feel it. This time, see what it feels like if energetically you spin your knee to the little toe. It's not really so much a movement as it is a shift of perception. And it changes how you stand in your leg. Beautiful. Inhaling, softening into it, coming back in. And if at any time you need a break and you need to go to child's pose because your arms are tired, or maybe downward dog is not with you today, go ahead and go back to tabletop or go to child's pose. Sinking into both heels. Now, my heels, my dream in my yoga practice is for my heels to touch the floor. And it's okay that they don't, but that is the goal, is to let your heels soften to the floor. Lift your tail to the sky. Let your heart travel to your knees. Let go of your head. Nowhere to go. Nothing to do. We're going to have 3 more breaths. You're doing a great job. Lots of strength building today. Last one. Draw those heels together. Open the knees. Press back. Full expression of child's pose. Now, first, walk your hands out to the end of the mat. And sink your bottom back. As far back as it will go. Now, walk your hands around so that they're resting next to your ankles. So the forehead's on the mat. And if that's not comfortable or you have glasses on, you can put a block over your forehead. And just completely change this child's pose. See if you can soften through this. Breathing into it. Beautiful. On the next inhale, slide your hands back forward, bringing yourself back into tabletop, finding your tabletop, rebuilding from the ground up, hands underneath your shoulders, eyes and the elbows facing each other, curl your toes under, lift your tail back into downward facing dog. Notice how much easier it is this time to just sink right into dog. Okay? Now, if you feel too splayed out, walk in. If you're too close together, walk out. On the next inhale, lift that right leg up. Lift it up high, high in the sky. Sink into that left foot. Let's have 3 breaths right here. Square off those hips. 2 more breaths. Last one. Nice long inhale. And on the exhale, scoop that foot up right into high lunge. You might have to help it. I have to help mine. Sink into high lunge. So lots of power in high lunge. This is a great place that if you need blocks, that you bring them into your practice, okay? No stretching, no effort. Yoga does not have to be effortful. It is possible to be effortless. So if you need blocks, this is the place to add them in. Harry, do you want some blocks? You want blocks? Okay. Yeah. Sink down, allow that knee to travel to the little toe. Now, draw your right hip back, left hip forward. Engage that pelvic floor. Breathe into this. I'm going to just move. Everybody stay here. Stay in high lunge. For those of you at home, focus on your breath. Work on bringing that right hip back, left hip forward, in through the pelvic floor. Draw through that crown. That's what I'm saying. There you go. Keep breathing. I'm just adjusting people. So imagine that I'm coming by you, touching the top of your head, inviting you to grow long in the crown. Beautiful. Looks great. Finding your breath. Remembering to sink into that knee. Sometimes as we build strength in our quads, we like to pull out of the knee. But the power is in that knee. All right? On the next inhale, bring that left hand next to the right foot. More balance here. So do this slowly. Spin open. This is a twisting lunge right here. Great power. Find your breath. Make sure that core is engaged. Breathing into it. Inhale through those fingertips, exhaling, coming back down, stepping that foot back into downward facing dog. Find your dog. This is a great place to go to child's pose if you need it. I'm not going to child's, but if you need a break, please do. Child's pose is always available. 3 more breaths. On the next inhale, rising back up into child's pose, from child's pose to dog, if you're in child, inhaling, lifting through that left leg, sinking back into that right heel, square off the hips, engage the core, find your breath, find the strength in this posture. 2 more breaths. On the next inhale, prepare to move that foot forward. So on the exhale, so sinking it all the way forward, help it if you need to, coming into high lunge. So sinking down, revisiting, knee traveling to the little toe, pressing straight down, left hip coming back, right hip coming forward. Breathing into it. Again, if you need blocks, use your blocks here. No point in reaching for the floor when you have the ability to bring the floor to you. Breathing into it. Imagine that your pelvic girdle is pressing towards the floor. We're opening. You can always modify a lunge by dropping your back knee and going into low lunge. Sinking forward, breathing into it. Beautiful work. Inhaling, taking that right hand, setting it next to the left foot, and spinning open. Find a spot to look at. Working those legs, sinking down. Two more breaths. Inhale through those fingertips, exhale, coming back down, stepping that foot back, coming back to dog. Let's have 3 breaths in dogs, and then we'll go to child's pose. Notice how the dog is different. Draw those heels together, lower down, knees open or knees together, it doesn't matter. How do you like to do your child? Child pose is really about folding into the self, coming within. You can stack your hands, you can lay your forehead on the floor. What feels delicious in your body? Inhaling, reaching those hands back out, rising back up, passing through tabletop. Rebuild that tabletop. Knees hip distance apart, hands underneath the shoulders. Curl the toes under, sinking back into downward facing dog. Here it is. Inhaling, lifting through that right leg. We're not going to stay there. We're going to just bring it all the way through. Nice tall lunge, passing through lunge. Do 1 sink down on the exhale. Inhaling, stepping forward into standing forward fold. So when we do these big, powerful steps, it really helps to strengthen the core. So we're hanging out, forward fold. What happens if you engage your core and lift your tail? Just notice. It is a deep, powerful posture, forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive, coming all the way up. All the way up, full mountain. From right here, sinking straight back. Honoring, lengthening through the crown, little back bend here. Exhaling, hands come down into tall mountain. Taking a break right here in tall mountain. Just feeling it. Feeling the power and the strength in your body.
On the next inhale, inhaling the hands up overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward, soften in the knees as you scoop down, and then extend the knees into flat back, halfway up. Exhaling down into forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive. We're just gonna do about 5 half sun salutations. So exhaling the hands down, center line into Anjali Mudra, completing the circle of the arms. Beginning again, inhaling, circling them around. Nice, big, dynamic moves. Exhaling, swan dive forward. Soften those knees. I always love to go down with soft knees, and as you touch the floor, inhale, lift the tail up on the exhale. Lift it up. Inhale, flat back, grow long in the crown. Exhale, back into forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive. This movement comes from the hamstrings, the back of the legs. It like hinges us up. Exhaling down center line. Again, inhaling, circling around. Exhaling, big swan dive like you're diving off of a cliff, flying to the floor. Soften the knees, bend those knees down like you're doing in a squat. Let the hands sit, land on either side of the feet. Lift through the tail. Lift it up. Inhale, flatten the back. If you need to put your hands on your shins to flatten your back, you can do that. Exhaling, back into forward fold. So the knees don't bend this time, only hinge at the hips. Inhaling, reverse swan dive. The last 2 are on your own. Exhaling down center line, 2 more rounds. Last one, all the way through. Really follow your breath. And as you come to the end, resting in hands at Anjali Mudra. Feel the power of the connection of your feet to the earth, your crown to the heavens, and being guided by your heart. Feel the power. What can you let go of that you no longer need? On the next inhale, dropping the hands down, we're going to turn the long way on the mat, opening our feet wide into wide angle here. Toes facing forward on the mat so that they're parallel with the edges of the mat. Inhaling the hands up into 5-pointed star. So check in. Is your pelvic floor engaged? Is your tailbone dropping down? Are you going long in your crown? Just notice, where are your shoulders? Mine are up by my ears. Thank you for helping me. Nice deep breath. Feel the power and the strength of being this beautiful 5-pointed star representing each of the elements. Water, earth, air, fire, metal. All the elements. It takes everything to make it work, balance. On the next inhale, go long through your crown. Exhale, dive straight forward. Hinging at the hips, hands come down in front of you, right in front of you. And if the floor eludes you, a block, and if you're at home and you don't have blocks, you can use a book, kind of a sturdy book. Let those hands come shoulder width apart, just directly under your shoulders. Grow long in your crown. Sink back in your hips. So, spin those knees open. I have a tendency, because I'm a little bit knocky, to collapse in my knees. So if you work to spin the knees open, it strengthens the muscles around the bones to help them be strong. Very important in hip health also. Breathing into it. On the next inhale, we're going to begin to walk our hands over to the right. Walking to the right, so like you're going to reach for your right toe. Keeping the hips square. A little bit of a twist here. Still letting them work, supporting you. Lengthening through the crown of your head. Breathing into it. And then inhaling, beginning the journey back to the center. Hands shoulder width apart. Walk the hands out. We're going to go into a wide angle downward dog. Be cautious at home if there's anything in front of you, just to be mindful. Now sink back, let go of your head. Shake it, no. Shake it, yes. No tension in the neck. This is a different working, different parts of the muscle of the legs. Keep spinning those knees out to the little toe. 2 more breaths. Walk those hands back in. Traveling to the left. So these are catching some of the outside edges of the leg muscles, the deep hip rotators, the latissimus dorsi in the back, going long in the crown. Breathing into it. Coming back to the center. Placing that left hand in front of you on the floor, in front of your face. Spinning open. Nice big spin. Sink back in your hips as you do this. Twisting and sinking. Breathing, lengthening through the crown of your head. Nowhere to go. Find your breath. Good job. Inhale through those fingertips. Exhale, coming back to center. Replace the left hand with the right hand. Engage that core and spin open the other way. Sinking back. Feel those legs working as much as the spine. Feel that pelvic floor engaging as much as the crown is lifting. All these counter poses happening. Nicely done. Inhale through those fingertips. Exhaling and coming back down. One more time. Walk those hands out, shoulder width apart, sinking into downward facing dog. So we look to go there, but then let go of the neck. Let it go. Trust that we're in the right place at the right time. Every moment. Feel the energy take over. So what happens is, as we create new muscle pathways, new neural pathways, and new energetic pathways, the trembling will cease and the ease follows. Inhaling, walking those hands back. Engage that core, fly back up into 5-pointed star. Here we are. We're going to spin the right foot facing into the mat, hinging at the hips and tipping right on down into triangle. Find your breath. We're going to be here. So find your Ujjayi breath. Find where the posture holds you. You can look wherever you want. I'm gonna walk around and check my students in the room. You have your camera on, I'll check you. Engage that pelvic floor. Feel that left hip. Yeah, there you go, beautiful. Spin back. Lengthen through the crown, nicely done. This is really about twisting, strengthening, and opening all at the same time. Deep breath it out. There you go. And imagine that I'm touching the crown of your head, encouraging you to grow long in that neck. Locking in on the breath. 5 more breaths, and then we'll be done. Strength happens in the holding. Flexibility happens in the strength. Last breath, inhaling, lifting it up, coming up. Hands come down, give your shoulders a break. Spin both feet forward. Let your hands come behind you. Clasp your hands if you can reach them. If you can't, that's okay. And then just press down. So open that heart, engage that core. Nicely done. Release the hands, inhaling back to 5-point star. Spinning that right foot around, hinging at the hips. So we're headed the other way. I'm sorry, it's your left foot, my right foot, we're opposite. Sinking across, hinging, and then sinking down. Long leg, pull that hip back. Find your breath, drop in. Nowhere to go. Nothing to do. Five more breaths. Nice and slow. Slow it down. Feel the energy support you. Engage that core, inhaling, lifting up, tipping out of it. Hands come down. Spin that foot around. Nicely done. So if you feel powerful, jump your feet together. If you feel less than powerful, walk them in. Find yourself coming into mountain pose, hands facing forward, feet are hip distance apart. Engage that core, go long in the crown. Find a drishti. We've opened everything, so we're gonna head to tree today. So we're gonna do balance. If you need to step off your mat, do that. So begin by pouring into your right foot. Softening that left knee. This might be it. This might be your tree here today. If you have the space, bring that foot to your leg. So it can be below the knee. It can be, I'm not even sure I can do this, above the knee. Not happening in this body. Inhaling up, hands up. Find that point. Lock in on it. Focus on your breath. Focus on your drishti. Inhaling, exhaling, arms down. Stepping out of that. Give yourself a little bit of movement in the hips and the knees and everything. I think that when we stand on one leg, it's important to move afterwards. Body's meant to move. And then come back into mountain pose. Core into that right foot, or left foot. Lift out of that right toe. Square off the hips. As you're ready, find where in your body you are supported in balance. Inhaling through those fingertips, exhaling those arms down, stepping that foot wide. Nice little movements, whatever that looks like in your body. So, after you're done wiggling around, coming back to the front of your mat, find your mountain pose. So let's build mountain from the feet up. Feet are hip distance apart. The knees are soft because as you engage your core and that tailbone slides down your back, you lift up through your pelvic floor, belly button to the spine. Bring long in your crown, which draws the ears back over the shoulders. So it's an interesting phenomenon that when you lift through the pelvic floor and grow long in the crown, it actually raises your heart. Growing tall. Close your eyes, come within, take a nice deep breath. What are you hanging on to in this posture that really can soften and you can still be powerful in mountain? What are you hanging on to in life that you can really soften and still be in your own power? On the next inhale, inhaling the hands up overhead. Exhaling, swan dive forward. Stepping your right foot back. Left foot back. Downward facing dog right here. Full dog, find your breath. You have 4 more breaths. Last one. And we're going to inhale, and we're going to move forward into plank. And although we're not going to hang out in plank, we're just going to move forward into plank and exhale, lowering straight down, all the way down. So if you're not on your mat, wiggle back so that you are. Release your feet so that their tops of your feet are flat on the floor. And you can turn your head and lie down. Let your hands come down beside you. And we'll just take a brief rest here in prone shavasana. Just let everything go. See what it feels like to fly on the floor in your belly. For some people that's comfortable, for some people it's not. So on the next inhale, engage that pelvic floor and notice how when you bring your belly button to the spine, it flattens your back and it takes the pressure off of lying on your tummy. And then lift up those knees and begin to rock them side to side. Creating a little movement in the low back, a little movement in the knees. You can make it as big and dynamic as you want or as little as you want. And then as that begins to slow, lengthen first through the left foot and then through the right foot, really lengthening down through your feet and let them be hip distance apart. So the way I figure that out when I'm lying down on my tummy is I bring them completely together and then just open them a little bit. It's not far. Our hips are not as big as we think they are. And then press down through that pubic bone as you draw up through your pelvic floor, belly button to the spine, roll those shoulders up to your ears and back and bring yourself up. Now lift through the triceps as if you're going to push the ceiling away with the palms of your hands. Coming into Superman. Feeling the strength in this. Breathing into it. Now, from right here, lift the feet off the floor also. And as if you're holding a ball between your feet. Breathe into this. Feel the strength of the back muscles working. Grow long in your crown. Find your breath. One more inhale. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Turn your head the other direction from how you were lying to begin with. Release those knees to rocking side to side. So the interesting thing about the knees going side to side is that this is actually a twist in the lower back also, but it releases anything that was working that maybe didn't release on its own. So the body has a beautiful way of mirroring the mind. Sometimes our mind will grab onto something and it'll chew on it and chew on it and chew on it and don't let go of it. And the body does the same thing in response to that. So what does it feel like to give it the space to let it go, to release it? Lengthen back down through the right foot this time and then the left foot. Engage that pelvic floor. Shoulders up to the ears, roll them back, bring yourself back up. We're gonna go into round two, but this time lift the lower body to go straight into it. Notice if those feet are opening up, grab onto your ball, hold it between your feet. It's imaginary. Lifting, breathing. Two more breaths. And exhale. This time as you come down, hands underneath your shoulders and press all the way back into child's pose. Completely counter pose this. Back bend into a forward fold. Beautiful work. And in the next few breaths, find your way onto lying on your back. So that might involve another downward dog or a vinyasa, or a jumping through your feet and rolling back. Whatever it looks like in your body, let it show up. The body has a wisdom that the mind does not possess. And as you get to lying on your back, let your knees come into your chest. Bring them in, release them out. Bring them in, release them out. So this is a really little movement. It's more about releasing the sacrum and massaging the internal organs. So it's about a 2-inch move. You bring the knees in, exhaling, release the knees out, inhaling. One more. As you really begin to fully become present in your body, lying on your back. And as you release your knees out this time, let the feet come to standing. Just about hip distance, well, definitely about hip distance apart, but as close to the behind as you can get that. If you have a block at home, this is a great place to put a block between your knees. So if you have a block, You can put it between your knees and begin to hold it. That's about the distance of, and the distance you want your knees apart and the tension of holding that you want in the inside thighs, okay? So feet are close to the behind. We're building up for bridge. Hands come down opposite of each other on the floor beside the bottom. And on the next inhale, engage that pelvic floor and press through the feet coming up into bridge. There it is. Continuing to hold bridge. Close your eyes, no looking anywhere except at the ceiling in this posture. We want to protect the neck. Okay. Good. Breathing into it. Dropping into that space. Nowhere to go. Nothing to do. On the next inhale, prepare to deepen this, exhaling a little deeper. And as the body begins to want to move on its own, keep your mind out of the way. You can move into meditation and motion. For those of you new to meditation and motion, this is about the body leading the way versus the mind. There's no wrong thing that shows up in meditation and motion. Let the body guide the way. Follow the breath. Follow the body. And if the body's not leading you anywhere, stay and bridge. Sometimes meditation and motion is very, very slow. Sometimes it's a little more quick than the rest of your practice. But what it is the body leading and the mind watching. If you're still in bridge, take a nice deep breath with your full expression. And as you begin to roll down one vertebra at a time, even slowly. And if you're in meditation and motion, begin to find your way to knees at your chest. In the next 3 or 4 breaths, no rush. Finish what you're doing. And just feel those knees rocking side to side. And begin to lengthen through your left foot, keeping that right knee in. Letting that left leg land on the floor. Crossing that right knee across the body. Make sure that pelvic floor is engaged. We're going into a nice deep twist here. Opening that right arm. Let your nose begin to travel to look at the right hand as the left knee crosses the body. Breathe into it. Nowhere to go. Feeling the body begin to cool. Nice deep inhale, begin to travel out of this twist. Coming back, just touch the knee, open the other direction, inhale and close to remind the hip that it's a circle joint. And then slide it down and bring that left knee in. Pull it in, engage that core, open the arm, cross the body. Twisting into it, checking that pelvic floor. Turning your nose to look at the left hand. Breathing into it. Nicely done. Inhaling, coming back to center. Open that left knee just to give it a little space. Bring it back. Lengthen it down. Take your hands up overhead. Point the fingers, point the toes. Nice deep breath in. Let it out with a big sigh. I'm wondering if maybe you could shut off that later. And then find your way into Shavasana. The last posture, preparing for finding that core let go. Bring long in your crown. Soften back to the floor. From fear to grace. Every moment we have a choice. Fear or grace. Fear stops life. Grace creates life. As we move through life, we have a choice. It is a universal law. Action, reaction. If the action is fear, the reaction is halt. If the action is grace, the reaction is life. We remember every day. We remember grace.
And gently begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle. And as you're ready, roll to your side. That's enough. Hands to your heart. Namaste. Namaste.